the use of cannabis to promote health and to prevent disease. Because we so often talk about cannabis as a solution to conditions that are already pretty far along, and often conditions that don't respond very well to conventional treatments. And cannabis so frequently comes in and either helps a little bit or maybe it helps miraculously, but it has power in many areas of medicine, very diverse applicability in medicine. And to me, that begs the question, well, if it can work so well for treating complex chronic disease and advanced disease, what could it do to prevent illness, to keep people healthy, and to maybe mitigate some of the harm of our common conditions like heart attack and stroke, other types of brain injury. And the message is, I believe there is a way to use cannabis to stay healthy. For healthy people that aren't sick, can use cannabis to mitigate stress, to promote sleep, to reduce inflammation, to enhance connectivity with oneself and with others. I mean, there's many ways that we can use cannabis as a healthy support in our lives. We have many things to learn about using cannabis in children. It's very clear that for children with severe medical conditions, cannabis is a less harmful and often more effective solution to treat their symptoms than some of the conventional. So in those situations, which is where I tend to see children clinically, they come to me when they're pretty sick. And we look at some of their other options and we look at cannabis and we say, well, cannabis is clearly a better choice. And often it works at very low doses in children, and often children tolerate it better than adults. They have less side effects, almost always. So then the other really important question is, well, many of our children that are healthy or mostly healthy, that are living in a very challenging and toxic environment that we all share here, what can we do to keep them healthy? Or could cannabis be used in healthy children as like a first aid remedy or as a replacement for things like acetaminophen or other over-the-counter drugs? And I think that's a great question. We don't really have an answer for that yet, but I certainly have some opinions that cannabis is less toxic and probably more effective than many of the other treatments that pediatricians are very comfortable with. I traveled from Maine through Washington, D.C. to Oregon. These are all places where cannabis is totally legal for adults to possess. I started my career in cannabis activism 20 years ago when that was not the case. And so I can look around and say, wow, we really have changed things. The world is changing, and cannabis is legal. Less people are going to jail for it. And it's making its way into the hearts and minds of more and more diverse groups of people all around the world. And I think that's just going to make the world a safer, better, more loving place.